Welcome to You Don't Know Vietnam, the show that demystifies Vietnam for global audiences by talking to the creatives, trendsetters and business owners who are taking on the market. Vietnam isn't all rice paddies and buffaloes, you know, as you're about to find out. I'm Ian Payton, co-founder of We Create Content, and on this episode of You Don't Know Vietnam, I'm talking to Vu Thi Tai An, or as many people know her, Annie Possible. Annie is the co-founder and CEO of tech startup Tubudd, a local concierge platform that connects Vietnam's foreign visitors with local buddies to ensure guests have a unique and pleasant experience during their stay. Today, she talks about why it's possible for people to have a bad time in Vietnam and what it's like to be a woman in Vietnam's growing tech startup scene. Without further ado, let's get into this one. Ready?
Yes.
Annie, oi.
Yo.
Long time no see.
Long time. It's been ages.
I think it's like 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
What have you been doing? You've been busy.
Yes, definitely. I've been absolutely busy with my startup. And I think since I talked to you, like literally after I came back from the UK and I had Tubudd, as very, very just ideal stage. And then now I have Tubudd, I have a pizza restaurant in Phu Quoc, I have a flower business.
Wow, dropping all these bombs on me. So
Whoa.
Pizza restaurants, flower businesses.
Yeah.
Damn.
You know, as COVID-19 really scared people from big cities. So we started to look at like where it has potential to have some business that's not really affected by the COVID-19. At the same time, you know, I want to go to Phu Quoc like regularly just to enjoy like some free time off Hanoi, like big city, big noises and that. And I love the place. So we had this like wood oven pizza place, and we travel there during the 3 years COVID-19, like regularly, just to enjoy life, have a good pizza, have a beer, sitting next to the beach, and really enjoy life.
Because if there were any businesses impacted or disrupted by COVID, it would have been your one, right?
Yeah.
For people that don't know, what is Tubudd?
So Tubudd is a concierge platform to connect international visitors to local experts, and we call them local buddies. And that we have 3 types of buddies. One is the local point of view buddy, which is a local friend that take you to their hometown and show you really local life, and you can, you know, live as a local person for a day. And the second one is a business buddy, is like a translator, a personal assistant for you to hire locally in Vietnam when you come for Vietnam for like a quick business trip, and you don't want to make all these phone calls or talk to these local partners or organize all these transportations and hotel accommodation and all such. And the third one is health buddy. So basically is if you come to Vietnam specifically for medical reason, medical care or spiritual or like, you know, health in general. So you can book somebody who kind of have a professional point of view, speak your own language and, you know, taking to places that really like vegan or yoga or like taking care of your health and mental and physical health and things like that. So yeah, that's pretty much Tubudd. It is a platform. It's on the app and on the web. iOS and Android, yeah.
Wow. And that was really starting to get some traction, right? Just before COVID kicked off.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, we had so much hope for it by the end of 2019. So in 2019, as you remember, like I traveled to like 4 continents in 1 year and joined in so many startup competitions and startup stages and got a lot of attention. Ready to raise fund for like the big round. And we spent about 4 months in South Korea to really expand the network and expand, like have an office in South Korea, in Seoul. So we planning to have like a big booming 2020 and 2021. And that didn't happen. Like when it came to March 2020, and I was like, oh my God, that was so bad. And at the time, I had a small coffee shop in the Old Quarter in Hanoi, and I had to close it down immediately. And it was like really, really sad time in big cities. And we was in the middle of direction of either freeze Tubudd and just not working, not having anything, or just keep going, fight every way to survive. And before I even make the decision, because we already have customers lining up, knocking on our door saying, I need help with this, I need help with that. So before the COVID-19, we actually come into the market as a tourism platform, like only have the local buddies, the local guys, basically, and not for anything for business. But during the COVID-19, we see like a big pickup for business buddy. So obviously you cannot travel to Vietnam as a tourist, but you still have to travel for business, and that can never stop. Like COVID cannot stop that. So and the demand for it is like gone really, really high. So actually in 2020, our revenue increased 77% compared to before the COVID. And we closed out the team, so we became profitable, we became like sustainable, and we did really well over the COVID. Right. Hence, coming out from COVID, we closed our, seed fund round and, get more money. Now we're expanding the business and things like that.
So COVID for you then wasn't quite as bad as perhaps other businesses worldwide, in that A, Vietnam dealt with COVID really well, so business travellers could come here still.
Yeah.
But B, it meant that you had to pivot, as I guess loads of businesses did. Yeah. But it was for the better, and it's something that's worked well.
Yeah, I think the most important thing for me to pivot is not really the business model or the customer's base, but it's the mindset of it. So before COVID-19, I was big in the startup mindset, which is, you have to spend a lot of money, be at loss for a long, long time, and just growth, and then just care about database users and how many people, doesn't really care about the, the profit of it. And during the COVID, I have to switch the mindset from the startup mindset to SME mindset, which is to survive, to make profit as quick as possible, to sell the services that make money, and focus on the part of the business that make money only. So now, fast forward, I think we expected 2022 to be like a really big thing, but as you can see, as travel industry in Vietnam is not really recovered yet, and is quite under our expectation for the whole year. Luckily, our revenue still like increased last year a little bit, not as I expected either. But I think by the end of 2022 and coming to 2023 now, we kind of focus inside, so turn inside of our organization and really focus on the team, building the good team, building, feeling like I've restart my startup again, but not from zero, but from 1 or 2. Do you know what I mean? Feeling like everybody kind of see the vision is like that, but I have to really make them understand. And now we have a history, a story to tell, and then we want to make all the staff and the whole team get on the same page with that. So now we have like 10 people, and we turn it inwards. We're training ourselves, each other, and we help each other to grow. And we focus more on like the values of it, solving small problems with the system, but with the app, and then in every single thing. So it's to prepare for a very fast future this year and next year.
I think anywhere where we travel in the world, we need a local buddy, right? There's nothing like local insight.
Yeah.
Do you think that's more the case in Vietnam?
Definitely.
Why so?
Oh my God, like so many scams. Just because you're a foreigner in Vietnam, you can easily get scammed, but no one would dare to scam you if you go with a Vietnamese person, or someone who speaks the language, right? So it's quite cheeky, some places you go to, and very touristic places. And then I see like on the other side, I see like Vietnamese people that are hustlers, the young Vietnamese people. You can never go anywhere in the world that find random young people will stop you in the middle of the road just to speak English with you. And they absolutely friendly. And they're so good at languages. Vietnamese people in general, I think they can speak way more languages than many other countries in the region. Say Vietnamese people speak Russian, French, German, Chinese, Japanese, Korean. fluently. Like you can find these people easily in Vietnam, and they speak very well. Like a lot of people can speak English much better than me, right? And I feel like they need this opportunity. They need this land for them to grow. They need this land for them to be able to be this global citizen, to interact a lot with foreigners or like businesses from abroad, but they don't have this opportunity to kind of employ themselves as such person and get these experiences or earn money from it. So it's, connect all of these things. So definitely, I think that the travelers come to Vietnam, the visitors, if they have a local buddies in Vietnam, they would kind of know Vietnam in a different eyes and feel like they blend in, they understand why, they feel like they know Vietnam, like not just they visit Vietnam, but they will feel like they live there, they know it there. And at the same time for the local people to really up their standard, up the bar game, really, do something like that. So that's why we create Tubudd for it.
Yeah. And there's a few things that I wanted to mention there, because have you heard about that joke? How do you become a millionaire in Vietnam? Turn up a multi-millionaire. That was the first thing I wanted to say. And the second thing is, I think that people do come to Vietnam, and if they don't know it or don't have local insight, they end up having a bit of a bad time sometimes, especially on the front line of tourism.
Yeah, sure.
And I feel like it's a real shame.
Yeah.
Because Vietnam has so much to offer.
Yeah.
And its people are so great. Yeah. Yet people come away from Vietnam going, well, I'm not going back there again.
Yeah. That's bad. That's
and the tourism return rate, I was speaking on a previous episode with Josh.
Yeah. I've listened to that, yeah.
It's really low.
Yeah.
And that could also be one of the reasons, I think. So I think local insight is so important in Vietnam. What do you think are things that people misunderstand about Vietnam from abroad?
That's such a big question.
I know, because we interviewed a bunch of people for some work that we were doing about, tell me what you think when you think of Vietnam, and a lot of people are like, I don't know, the war, you know. And obviously, like, it's just not that now.
Yeah, it's just not that now.
So maybe a better question is, how would you describe where Vietnam's at right now?
It is very hard to really, really see it for every point of view. Like different country, I feel like different country have a different perspective about Vietnam, just like we would have a different perspective about different countries in the world, really. But recently, I've been to the UK, stay there for like a month and talk to a lot of people who've been to Vietnam and not been to Vietnam, and there's still a lot of so they're very familiar with Vietnam through Top Gear, right? Yeah. And that was 2012, 2010, I think. Yeah. That was like 13 years ago. Like, but that was the image, the closest to the modern days image that they can see, which is people with no helmet on a moped in Vietnam. There was no car. Traffic was horrendous.
The worst of it all delivered by Jeremy Clarkson.
But literally, like Vietnam, I feel like Vietnam have developed so much over the last, I would say, 5 years. Like it's definitely way better. We use a lot more technology, kind of, the young people kind of make a big impact. Vietnam trying to, like, put our image for the world. Like, we are very big in startup. So, like, we are like, a startup hub of Southeast Asia. Rather than you have to go to Singapore, where like the new hub is in Ho Chi Minh City, new hub is in Hanoi, and we focus on like young people with great and creativity and great idea and good technology, because we have these people that are really big in tech, but they all go to work in like big other countries. And the appearance of, say, VinFast and big Vin Group, and trying to build a lot of, say, theme parks or resorts in many places in Vietnam, and it grows so quick. Like Vietnam could build things like in 1 or 2 months. So I think that is kind of an image that people don't know about. and not very familiar about it.
What are the best examples of like tech companies that you've seen come out of Vietnam?
Like Go to Joy, which is a hotel hourly management app, like a platform where you can book hotel hourly.
What, like in Yang?
Yeah, like in Yang, but more professional.
Right.
Like you can pay 500 for like an hour.
Okay.
So like much more money for that. But they're doing very well, and it's based in Ho Chi Minh City, actually owned by a Korean founder in Ho Chi Minh City though. And then...
For those that don't know, Yang is like basically like a love hotel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that you pay hourly.
Yeah, you pay hourly.
Yeah.
But they also have a lot of, strategy or whatever.
Oh,
but they started with that. They started definitely with that because there's the demand, like massive demand.
Do you think
in
that's
Vietnam.
for like business travelers?
Well, they do. Because, for example, if you can't, if you want to leave at 10 p.m., where would you be from that 12 to 10,
Yeah.
right?
You don't want to be hanging out on the street.
You don't want to hang out on the street, and you don't want to rent it for like the whole day.
What other companies have you seen coming out of Vietnam?
So we have, well, another example, Capichi, which is a premium ordering food, just like Grab food, but also Japanese founder. They're based in Hanoi, and they're coming out of Vietnam. Because obviously I hang out a lot with expat kind of startups, so a lot. Gene Story, so there you go. Gene Story, so basically they take your saliva, they tell you a story based on your DNA or your gene on what kind of disease that you may have.
Ooh.
Based on your genes,
Right.
and what kind of person you are. Are you like introvert or extrovert, or what kind of type of drugs that you would be allergic to, and what you like your health, and basically a lot of things that you can tell from that. So if you do that for your kids, they would be you'll be able to prevent a lot of things, like lactose food, or things like that. So that is like another big innovation coming out of from like a healthcare kind of thing. Fintech for FinHay, like where you can save up money from 50,000 Vietnam dong, from $2, like things like that.
Yeah.
So yes, a lot of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
And gaming is quite big here as well, right? Like gaming productions.
Yeah, sure. Like because like I said, like the numbers of people who study technology, coding, is huge. It's growing massively in Vietnam. In every universities now, they have these kind of classes that teach them not only just the students, but also like the working people who want to change their career completely. So they can take these extra classes and become a coder. And therefore, there's so many more in terms of games and things like games are big, huge, like a lot of things happening in there.
Yeah. Not only in terms of production, but in terms of people playing them as well.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
There's even that MindX. Have you seen that academy? I think it's called MindX.
MindX, yeah. MindX Technology, yeah.
And they're teaching what, like 6-7-year-olds?
Yes.
Like how to code?
Yeah. Steam coding, code for kids. A lot of them that actually teaching kids how to code. They break that nowadays. Like they break down, the education for coding or technology into very small part of it. That from the kids would STEM robot kind of things, right? You can code for the robot to be able to raise the hand and laughing and turn on the right when they come to a certain point, things like that. They learn at a very young age. It's crazy.
So you must be pretty excited then for Vietnam's like tech landscape going forward.
Yeah, sure. Like I have been for a while now, but we have like some of the big technology convention like events throughout the year. There is so much money going to the startup scenes in Vietnam, particularly from Japan, from South Korea, from America, from Singapore, a lot of other countries, and they really want to invest in Vietnamese startups because it got like a big potential. People constantly create a lot of ideas for startup, and people constantly, people work hard here basically, and they study very well. They come, study abroad and all come back to Vietnam and start up something for Vietnam. I even joined in a competition called Viet Challenge in 2019, and it is in America. It hosted at MIT. In America, they are a startup competition for Vietnamese founders all around the world. So if you have Vietnamese heritage, you can join in. That like one of your founders is Vietnamese heritage or Vietnamese in a way. So then you can join in, and the final round will be hosted in America. And I think this year they hosted it in Nasdaq.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really big, and that the organization is really huge for Vietnamese. So I think Vietnamese people all around the world are like chipping in, trying to make an effort for this startup scene, and really see like a big image of Vietnamese young people to be a startup founder, like somebody who work hard but creative, in every levels. So
do you think Vietnam's tech scene could potentially shape Vietnam's image globally?
Well, I hope so. I definitely hope so. Just like, recently you also see a different image of South Korea as not only just for K-pop anymore, but Korea is very big on technology and startup as well, right? And there's a lot of films about startup scene and hosted in technology company rather than just a normal company now, right? And that is the image that they're going for. And the same with Japan and same with China. And I think Vietnam's definitely want to be, on that board. And next to Singapore, Vietnam is just an easy place for people to come in, drop the money, traveling for business, relax for a few days, leisure and business trip all together, workation, things like that. And it's got the potential because we've got the people. The hire here is much cheaper than any other places, and the people here work very hard. They study hard as well. I wouldn't say it would be the same level or same standard with a lot of countries in the region, but somewhere we getting there.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked in a few countries in the region, and I'd say Vietnam's up there with regards to work ethics, creativity, fire, just to get
passion
stuff done,
Get it done, yeah.
You've mentioned Korea a bit. So I was speaking to someone who lives in Korea the other day and has businesses there, and he was saying everyone in Korea now wants to be in Vietnam. They're all looking for investments in Vietnam. He seemed to think that they were actually forgetting about China now, due to a few of their big companies getting a little bit done out a deal in China, and they're all looking at Vietnam.
Yeah.
Have you seen
100%.
that?
Yeah, 100%.
Because did you get funding from Korea?
Yeah. So my newest venture fund is from South Korea. And they, we were one of the first ones that they invested in Vietnam. Because I spent 4 months in South Korea, in Seoul, in the startup scene. So I definitely saw it firsthand. Yeah, everybody wanted to make a bit of a pie in Vietnam. Like everybody going for it. There are so many funds that set up in Korea just for Vietnam. Like the whole scene was just to invest in Vietnam.
And I know that in the past, like Vietnam has been like kind of a factory for big brands in terms of manufacturing.
Yeah.
But now it looks like it's looking at tech as well.
Yeah. I mean, there is still a lot of our customers are like business people still coming here for the factory scene, but a lot more that are coming over for like technology scene now. Like a lot of startup want to come to Vietnam as well, like expand, because this is a very potential market for a lot of things that you can test out easily and not too expensive. And then, a lot of investments that, come in here and want to invest in Vietnam, do much better. And obviously Lotte is developing here in Vietnam. So definitely create more of environment for Korean to settle, to live, to work, and to, basically feel like home in here.
I was going to ask you a little bit about being a woman in tech here. And how is that?
Yeah, definitely. I in the tech business where I get to know and meet a lot of people in technology or other founders who create, different startup ideas and make it work worldwide. It is overwhelming. It is definitely overwhelming to see how little the numbers of women actually are in these kind of fields, and how many men are there. I was never really scared of the scene, but at the same time, it's quite daunting when you join in. You say, I became top 10 of a final competition somewhere, and I was the only woman, and all the questions that they asked was kind of related to, what would happen to the company if you have a baby, if you are the CEO, kind of thing. It's very like, I do not want to answer this kind of question because you didn't ask the guys before me that, and you're not going to ask the guys after me that. Yeah. And you should really appreciate the fact that I am the woman and standing in the top 10 right now, rather than just ask me those questions.
I can't believe they asked that.
It was a lot. I met a lot of people, and I do have so much hope for this startup because it's new, right? It's modern and young and innovative, and I don't expect to meet these people in this kind of scene, but unfortunately I do sometimes. Very rarely. I think way less than in any other industry, but I still meet some people like that. They can ask me on the record or off the record. They can ask me on the stage, or they can ask me afterwards, right? And then I've met one investors that actually, I was so proud of myself for getting to this, top 3 in the final, and I did like a really good pitch on the stage, and everybody talking about it, and everybody was like, oh, you should have been, this and that, like the first one. And then the people, the investor pulled me inside, and I thought that he was complimenting me, but he was like, I think you was a little bit too much overconfident. I'm like, what? Excuse me, you should comment on like what my startup should do rather than focus on me as a person. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and I should be confident, and I should be overconfident because we only have a vision that we believe in. But maybe that was just my way of thinking, and not like ways to see that is how startup should work. But if I'm not overconfident about my ideas, why should other people be confident in my ideas? Do you know what I mean? That's what I thought. So it was a bit, a little bit like, oh, I still meet these kind of person. But I guess it is actually for like women as a director in general, as a CEO position. I bet everybody have that. And I do struggle with, balancing out my life. And that is a thing. Like, I actually have to experience that. So I was like, gosh, they know that. That's why they asked the question. Because they ask the question, it's like, how do I balance my life? Because it happens. But, for women, like, I have to balance. I haven't had kids yet, but thinking about it, like, it was like scary because I have to like spare so much of my schedules to take care of someone, and how I'm going to do that as a woman and things like that. Yeah. And then for the staff, people would expect you to be more listening, more empathy, more this and that, and not expecting you to be like, oh, this girl boss, and I feel like that was like, oh God, like, I have to sugarcoat them, and I feel to lead them on, like to, these kind of my way of doing things. So yeah, a lot of things like that. Wow. Sorry, I just dump it all on you.
No, dump away. Yeah, there's a lot there. I mean, just on its own, like, this idea of having kids, at our age, I say our age, I'm not sure we're the same age. I won't ask you how old you are now, but there's this definite pressure, not on me, but I think more so on you, to get married and have kids.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's coming up in a like tech competition on stage just kind of throws me off a little bit.
It was mental. It was mental when you are actually in my situation, when you get the pressure from all over the places. My friends, my best friends, my mums and dad, my family, my staff, everyone that I meet on the way would tell me to get married. The other day, so I just signed, in order to sign some stuff, I went back to my hometown to get a single status, certificate to say like I'm single. I've never been married, right? And even the woman who sit on the desk and tell me you better just get married so you don't have to do it again. I'm like, excuse me. I'm like, what? Why? What's going on? Like, why do you have to care so much of if I'm married or not? Like, why you have to care so much? Yeah. And from my colleagues, from literally every single one that I know cared about that. Like, why does it matter so much, Like, that is so much pressure, apart from how to make the business work, apart from how to grow the startup now, how to get more traction, how to get more users, how to make money, how to survive, how to get more profit. I have to deal with that on the side. That was just on the side, every single day.
So what are we saying then for the rest of this year? What's going on?
For the rest of the year, I think I do have a few more ideas on what I wanted to do for Tubudd, and we want to move a bit quicker, speed the process up. Now we have a bit of investment, and we want to go and flash and spend the money and get the results.
Does that come with pressure, by the way?
Not at this stage, I don't think. So we are at the seeds round now. And usually the pressure would come at the Series A when you calling for like $1 million and $5 million.
So what are you calling for in seed?
In seed, we did 200,000. Right. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stuff, isn't there, about like, in the startup world, getting funding, rounds of funding, and less so about bootstrapping,
Yeah.
I wonder if there's not enough respect for like bootstrap businesses actually. Mm-hmm. But it feels to me like, okay, you get in the seed money, you get Series A, then with that just surely comes like pressure to scale and some profits, right?
Definitely.
Are you worried about that?
I think there are some formula to it, right? So for bootstrapping, business, we kind of call them SME, because when you bootstrap yourself, you can always stay in a certain scale. You cannot really scale up like big, right? If you want to scale up big, you gotta find that product market fit, and once you have that, you can easily scale. And with that product market fit, you can just go to, hey, investor, give me 5 million because this is what I can do with 1 million. So give me 5, so I can do more, 5 times more than that. And then they can give you 10 million, they can give you 20 million, and things like that. So the pressure is definitely on now for us to find that product market fit, to really have enough numbers, have that formula that we generate from ourselves, from our business, to really see, we test enough water to really see what works and what doesn't work. And then with that, I think it's easier for us to go and call for like Series A, Series B. But then when we with Series A, Series B, the pressure would be how to manage a bigger team, moving from 10 to 50 people, and how to, expand to another country, dealing with the second Vietnam, wherever that it would be, right? Have a team that doesn't speak, Vietnamese, and doesn't stay here. And there's a lot of things that involves with scaling up, and that is when the pressure is definitely coming on, and you have to perform then because you already have product market fit. As our stage now, we can make mistakes. We can make so many mistakes in order to find that formula. But once we got that formula, it's got to be like bang on, exactly whatever we want. So investors right now, they don't really involve so much in the operation or in the results or like checking month-on-month basis. But I assume that in Series A, Series B, they're going to be more hands-on and exactly really, eyes on you on whatever you do.
And when do you think that might be?
So we're planning to call for the Series A by the end of this year.
Right.
So we have this year to really prove, what we do.
Yeah, great. Well, keep me posted, won't you? Let's not leave it another 5 years.
Definitely.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
It's really nice to see you.
Definitely. You Don't Know Vietnam is one of, it will be one of the best podcasts that I would listen to every day.
That's nice of you to say.
Oh.
So I think we'll get better and better. We've got loads of episodes to do. So
you're great.
I'm sure we'll have you on again.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ian.
Thanks, Annie. Take care, all right?
Take care.
All the best.
Cheers.
You've been listening to You Don't Know Vietnam. I'm Ian Paynton from We Create Content. I'd like to thank DJ Jase from the Beats Saigon for the soundtrack, and to you for making it all the way to the end.